Will, and this is my video for this first week talking about art and kind of my opinions on it and what I learned from the textbook and the videos. So first, we'll start off with what is art. So my opinion on art is that it's a display of somebody's soul, which means it's very vulnerable. So an artist makes themselves vulnerable in producing art and then even more vulnerable by exhibiting it. The textbook says that it's a visual expression of an idea or an experience, which I think this is true, but I think there's more than that. There needs to be passion behind it. One of my favorite books is The Picture of Dorian Gray, and this book demonstrates that every artist puts a piece of their soul into their creations. If you've read this book, you know that that is not necessarily a good thing. If you haven't read it, I really recommend it. But every piece of art needs to have some sort of passion behind it. It can't just be a dry thing that you do on a whim. It has to be something that you really believe and you put yourself into. Defining what is and isn't art, it can be a very gray area because everybody's got their opinions. I think art has to involve creativity. It can't be art if it's not creative. Textbook says that. I really agree with it. Even if it's just a photograph of something or a reproduction of something else, it takes creativity to not only select what you're taking a photograph of or recreating, but just to produce it on your own in your own style. Like that takes creativity. I think everybody can be an artist, but I don't think everything can be art. So to define what isn't art is really tricky because, again, everybody has a different opinion. I'm not saying beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because we're not supposed to say that. And as we learned in some of the videos, that that really can be a valuable point. But I just feel that art needs to represent something bigger than itself, or even the artists themselves. So it can't be small. Art needs to be big, emotionally, spiritually, soulfully. Art needs to be large and just have a huge representation of something much bigger than what you just see on canvas. I think there needs to be feeling and emotion behind it, and it has to have passion. As for the value of art, this is something that I'm a math major, and this is something that makes a little more sense to me. So in the videos, it talks about how art's value comes from the materials it's made with and the size of what's created. Obviously, this makes sense. More expensive materials, more expensive art. A larger piece, probably going to cost more because, again, that's going to, if it's a canvas, it's going to be more expensive. It's going to usually take more materials. The reputation of the artist clearly adds value. Most collectors would probably rather buy something from Salvador Dali than from myself, just because even though I do practice a little art, my reputation is nothing compared to those of the famous artists. Now, if you combine that reputation with rarity, the value skyrockets. So let's use Dali as an example again. If he only ever made one piece, but kept the reputation he currently has, that one piece would quite literally be priceless. I mean, it would be a true collector's item because it would be the only thing in the world like it. Now, if Mozart put out a million songs, like an actual million songs, they wouldn't be as impressive because he would be doing the same thing constantly. He'd be producing a lot of it, and that diminishes the value. It's simple economics with supply and demand. The greater the supply, the lower the price ends up being, thus lowering the value. I also think value can be different to different people. So again, trying to stay away from beauty being in the eye of the beholder, I think value can be in the eye of the money holder. So let's look at an art auction, for example. With every auction, people drop out as the price goes higher on whatever they're bidding on. Why? It's not because they can't afford this high price. No, if they couldn't afford it, they wouldn't be there in the first place. No, they drop out because they don't assign as much value to the piece as the winning bidder. So say I'm in a bidding war with my friend Jack, and I go out at 20 for, who knows, say a picture I want to hang on my wall. But Jack keeps going. He takes it up to 30. He takes it up to 35, whatever. That's because Jack sees a lot more value in this picture than I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. We just see it holding different values. As for art's use, it can have many different uses. I think in its simplest form, art is a representation of something. It represents something else, or it depicts, which is a form of representation, something else. In the case in the textbook with the picture of a pipe, and it says in French, this is not a pipe, that's the whole case in point. That picture is a representation of a pipe. It is not a pipe itself. Art can be other things too, though. It often serves as entertainment in the case of theater or television, which are technically art forms. If you watch, Friends, that's a great show that a lot of people love. That is a form of art, and it entertains us. The whole script writing is a form of art. The acting is a form of art. In art museums, which lots of us visit, UGA down the road has a great one. This is a way for artists to take us on journeys, whether it be to other places or to the past or to the future. This is how we educate ourselves. This is how art serves as an education tool. And as we've seen in the textbook, art can serve as a status symbol, like with the chief stool from Cameroon. Nowadays, art collections more or less serve as a status symbol. Actually, there's an interesting book titled The Mystery of the Invisible Hand. It's a murder mystery about an artist, and it sheds light on how valuable pieces can increase a collector's reputation or diminish it if the pieces disappear. So interestingly enough, to get to this last question, key points learned within the videos and the readings, and did they alter my thoughts on the above questions? So yes and no. We're not supposed to say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I've always believed this, but after watching these videos, I sort of have a different opinion on it. For example, the School of Life video talks, as they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder is just something we shouldn't be saying. It's not appropriate. I always believed that beauty did lie in the eye of the beholder. I still somewhat believe this, but I think I believe it in a different way now. So the video definitely provides some insight against my personal thoughts, and I think that's incredible because I love other perspectives and points of view. I definitely agree some things are more beautiful than others. But I don't think that the quote means that everything is beautiful, rather that everybody views beauty in a different manner. So, somebody might look at a rundown apartment building and not see its beauty. An architect could look at it and see the structural integrity that it still holds even though it's run down being beautiful. I'm a scientist at heart, so if you've ever heard of a blobfish, they're a great example. An artist, a painter, wouldn't look at one and probably never want to paint it for its beauty. A marine biologist will look at the same blobfish and see beauty in the way their body holds such a rubbery quality as to withstand pressure at extreme depths. This is not beauty in the artistic sense, but I believe that it is beauty nonetheless, just in a different form. So that's my 2 cents.